welcome back to my channel. So I'm Carly Stevens and this is English Nerd, and this is the middle of the All About Hamlet series that has been ongoing for a while, and I intend to finish this. Today we're going to talk about Act 3, Scene 2, which is a doozy. It's the play within a play, lots of different movements within it, lots of different important revelations. So let's get started. By the way, I did get burned, so that's not a bruise or anything. I'm fine. I just got in the sun, and as you can see, I'm fairly pasty white, so I just burned. Act 3, Scene 2 starts with Hamlet giving a bunch of advice to the players, which came at the end of Act 2, Scene 2. Now, these are actual professional actors, and Hamlet is giving them advice about how to act. He's saying things like, don't overact, don't underact, and make sure that you're holding a mirror up to nature. That's where that really famous line comes from. In fact, when I saw Hamlet up in Denver a couple of years ago, in the bathroom they had hold a mirror. The purpose of playing was and is to hold a mirror up to nature on the mirror in the bathroom, which I thought was kind of fun if you're a big nerd like me. But it's funny if you read this scene and you realize, look, this is Hamlet speaking. These big chunks, here's how to act, people, and then the players are forced to be friendly and nice because he's a prince, but you can tell they're kind of annoyed that he's telling them how to do their jobs as anybody would be. Of course, we know that Hamlet fancies himself an actor from the end of Act 2, Scene 2, when he gave that big speech. The reason that Hamlet is so keen to make this particular play hold a mirror up to nature is that he's hoping that the mirror will reflect Claudius and his evil schemes of killing the previous king, of course, so that he'll show that he's guilty, and Hamlet will know that he's not necessarily going insane. Jury's still out on that one, but he'll realize that the ghost actually was telling him the truth about his murder. So as soon as the players go to get ready for the play, the next part of this scene is that Hamlet is choosing who his real friends are. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern he dismisses out of hand in the most dismissive way possible. Here it says, Hamlet tells Polonius, bid the players make haste. Polonius goes to tell the players to get ready, and then Rosencrantz and Guildenstern awkwardly still stand there, and Hamlet says, will you help to hasten them? What do you mean help to hasten them? That's not a thing. All they needed was Polonius to say, we're ready for you. And so when Hamlet says that, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern get the memo. They are not really wanted there because Hamlet, as we'll find out, especially later, sees them as betraying his trust. But then, as soon as everybody leaves, he sees Horatio and acts in a completely different way. He basically declares his love for Horatio. People have interpreted this in a variety of different ways. I am not going to get into all those, but Hamlet says, show me that man that is not passion's slave, and I will wear him in my heart's core, yes, in my heart of hearts, as I do thee. What he admires so much about Horatio is that he's not blown about by the winds of emotion. Instead, he's just a very steady person, loyal to Hamlet through thick and thin. Hamlet, on the other hand, tends to be blown about by whims, and having Horatio there is a really calming and positive influence for him. So he says, you're my only true friend, Horatio. You're the one that I've chosen for myself. He trusts Horatio so much that he actually tells him about the plan to trap Claudius through giving the play. So he says, Horatio, rivet your eyes to his face and let me know that I'm not just seeing things, what I want to see, but if we both think that Claudius looks guilty as he's watching this play, we have something. As I was preparing for this video, I learned that when Hamlet says, okay, everybody's coming to the play, I must be idle, get you a place, that idle actually can mean either the way that we think of it, we have to be unoccupied, idle, or it can mean crazy. That's interesting to me. The word idle and the word distracted both mean crazy as well in Shakespeare. So I don't know if that makes me crazy sometimes or what. But anyway, he says, I must be idle. I have to kind of act unoccupied / crazy. And that's really fun to stage. When I put on this play a few years ago, I had Hamlet just drape herself. It was a girl who was playing Hamlet. She did an excellent job over these chairs and just overact, and it was magnificent. So then everybody comes in to watch the play. What ensues is just a lot of group drama. Pretty much Hamlet just being sassy to everybody. He keeps giving these zingers, just keeps them coming. Some of the gems from getting ready for the play. My favorites are when Polonius acts like Captain Obvious. He says, "Oh, I was an actor one time," and Hamlet plays along and says, "Oh yeah, what did you do?" "Oh, I did enact Julius Caesar." Polonius says, "I was killed in the Capitol. Brutus killed me." Like, well, yes, that is the plot of Julius Caesar there, Polonius. And you can tell just by the way Hamlet responds that he's playing it off as really awkward as well. Gertrude, his mother, says, "Here, sit by me, Hamlet," because they're really, 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 really close. But Hamlet says, no, I'm going to sit by Ophelia and make all these dirty jokes. And poor Ophelia. Again, she does not deserve any of this. Justice for Ophelia. Hamlet makes fun of his mother as well, that she's laughing and having a good time at this play, when really she should be mourning her father, or not her father, her husband, her late husband. And Hamlet just keeps throwing out all of these sassy comments. One of the most poignant is right before the dumb show enters, the silent pantomime of what the play is going to be about. Hamlet says, Look you, Ophelia," whom I'm just taking for a ride. Look you how cheerfully my mother looks, and my father died within these 2 hours." Ophelia says, "Nay, 'tis twice 2 months, my lord, so it was 4 months ago when your father died." "So long?" Hamlet responds. "Well, then there's hope a great man's memory may outlive his life half a year." Whew. Want a little water for that burn? It's like there should just be a fountain turned on during this entire scene for all the burns that are flying around. So the dumb show enters with some Hautboys there. Okay, confession. For many years I thought that was some kind of servant, maybe not a hot boy, but some kind of person that would come in. Actually, not so much. Hautboy is like an oboe music. So I was very wrong. I realized this when I was reading Macbeth, and there were some Hautboys in one of the witches' scenes when the witches were alone, and it wouldn't make sense for them to have these servants running around. So that's a little embarrassing, but now you can avoid making the same mistake that I did. Oh, the burns. After the dumb show, which is hilarious to act out in class, by the way, if you're a teacher and you're preparing for your lesson, have people act this out. Don't tell them what's going to happen, just cast the people and tell them what to do. It's hilarious. Hamlet gets impatient and Ophelia says, "Just calm down. This is brief, my lord." To which Hamlet says, "As woman's love." Oh. I'm telling you, fountain necessary. Then the play within a play starts. Now the play within a play is rather lengthy. If I were Shakespeare's editor, I know that's terrible to say, but I would have cut this down. It's a lot of couplets and it just kind of goes on and on. But a couple of interesting things to think about while this play is going on. One, the play seems to be affecting not only Claudius at the end, but also Hamlet. Hamlet keeps muttering things like, "Wormwood, wormwood, how like you this play, mother," and he seems to be affected himself. So that's interesting. Also, he said at the end of Act 2, Scene 2, that he was planning on putting in some 12 or 16 lines into this play. Now, the play doesn't get that far before Hamlet just can't contain himself and spoils the ending and stands up and starts freaking out. So the part that has been shown so far is pretty much just the king saying, "Oh, I'm going to die, and it's okay if you get married again," to the queen. And the queen says, no earth to give me food, nor heaven light. None of, just take all pleasure away from me if ever I think about marrying someone else after you have died. It's extremely heavy-handed, and it makes sense that Gertrude says, the lady doth protest too much, methinks. It's a bit much, Hamlet. And then the king goes to sleep, and the poisoner just comes in and starts saying his poisoning intro. And that's all that they get through. So I'm wondering, what are the lines that Hamlet put in? Did he put in extra lines to make the poisoning a certain way? Like pouring the poison in the ear, exactly like his father was killed? Or did he add lines to make his mother feel bad about remarrying Claudius? Because that still seems to be where his focus is. It's bizarre. You'd think it would be on Claudius, but it is not so much on Claudius. Remember at the beginning of the scene when Hamlet was arguing for realism? Don't be too loud and saw the air with your hand, and don't be too tame, but make sure that you actually are reflecting nature. He doesn't even follow his own advice. He gets to the end, well, not even the end of the play, but the end of the play within a play that we see here, and Hamlet says, you know, get to the point, get to the point. Finally, Hamlet stands up and says, he gives the rest of the plot of the mousetrap, which is his sassy shorthand name for the murder of Gonzago, which is actually the play. So he stands up and he says, "He that is the poisoner poisons him in the garden for his estate. We shall see anon how the murderer gets the love of Gonzago's wife." He just spoils the whole thing. But it works because the king rises and says, "Give o'er the play, that's enough." Now that's a fascinating moment, the moment when Claudius stands up despite the lack of realism in the play, because at that moment Claudius knows that Hamlet knows about the murder. And also at that moment, Hamlet knows that Claudius knows. Both of them have this understanding that it is a race to murder, essentially, who can get to the other person first. So the stakes just shoot right up at that moment, and Hamlet is, interestingly, thrilled by this turn of events. He is just giddy. He's so excited that finally he knows for sure that Claudius has killed his father, so he can take some action at last. His mindset after this is so weird and funny and murderous and scary that we get an amazing scene. As soon as everybody just runs off stage, everybody turns on the lights and all the players flee, he checks with Horatio, just double checks and says, "Did you see it? Did you see him standing?" And Horatio says, yeah, absolutely, you're right, he's guilty. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come in right after that to say, "So, Hamlet, you behaved really badly and your mother wants to talk to you." Remember, at the end of Act 3, Scene 1, Polonius said, "Let Gertrude talk to Hamlet, maybe she can find out the cause of his madness, and then if she can't, then send him to England." You remember all that because you saw the previous video, right? Right? Yes. So Rosencrantz and Guildenstern come in to relay that message to see his mother, and Hamlet has such incredible lines. He's so cruel to them, really, and I feel bad. They don't deserve to be shoved off to the side and not cared about the way that Hamlet shoves them off to the side. But at the same time, it is just beautiful, the language that he uses, which is one of the reasons that I like this play so much. Even the language in the darkest moments, the to be or not to be speech, here, even when he's talking to Rosencrantz and Guildenstern after the play, the beauty of the language implies the value of humanity, the people who are using this kind of language. And I'll get more into that later, I think, but it's one of the reasons that I prefer Hamlet to even modern comedies. There's something more life-affirming in Hamlet that I don't see underlying a lot of more modern, lighthearted things. The understanding in those is that life is not fundamentally meaningful unless you make it so. And in Hamlet, the understanding is that despite the darkness, it always matters. So, more on that later. I could get into it, obviously. So Hamlet, while Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are there, grab a recorder, you know, like everybody learns in 4th grade for reasons unknown, and he starts saying, why don't you play this recorder, and Guildenstern says, I can't. I literally don't know how to play the recorder. And Hamlet gets enraged and says, really, you can't play this recorder, but you're going to play me? Good luck. But he says it in such a beautiful, eloquent way. Obviously, you've read it or seen it. I would recommend watching the Kenneth Branagh version of this particular scene because he does such a great job acting crazy and cruel and funny all at the same time, which is just the tone that you need for something like this. All right, everybody leaves, and then Hamlet is alone and gives kind of a mini soliloquy about his bloodthirstiness. At this point, he says, "Now could I drink hot blood and do such bitter business as the day would quake to look on." It's very scary. This moment is one of his most terrifying. It's almost like he's summoning up some sort of darkness within himself to carry out what he needs to carry out. But then, rather than talking about Claudius, again, you'd think that's who he would be thinking of at this moment. And perhaps he is. The person that he brings up is his mother. Soft now to my mother. Let not the soul of Nero enter this firm bosom. Let me be cruel, not unnatural. I will speak daggers to her, but use none. He's concerned that he's going to kill his mother. He's that bloodthirsty at this point. Nero killed his mother and some other stuff. So that's why Nero comes up there. I don't want to be like that. I'm not going to kill my mother, but I will make her rethink her life choices. Now, if you're following along in this entire series and you're ready for the next video, I want you to remember, I will speak daggers to her, but use none, because Gertrude in the next scene is going to reference daggers, like his words are like daggers entering into her ears, which is exactly what he wanted. He wanted the words to enter like daggers into her ear. But remember the ghost's advice, his instruction? It was to get revenge on Claudius and to leave his mom alone. So far, he is doing neither of these things. So we'll see. Next time, next time will not be the closet scene with his mother. That'll be the time after. Next time, it's going to be the climax, the turning point, the moment when Hamlet could have everything he wanted, and you'll see. Go watch and read it ahead of time, and stay tuned next Monday for the next video. So if you liked this, make sure to subscribe to my channel for more Hamlet-y and English nerd goodness, because I will post every Monday. If you have any question or comment, I would love to field those. Obviously, I'm a big fan of Hamlet, so please join the conversation and put in a comment below. Okay, I'll see you next Monday.